Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Alan Locher, and I'm so happy to have you here with me tonight in the Locher Room. My guest tonight is Alexander Walters, best known to daytime fans as Mark Kasnoff on CBS's As the World Turns. Alexander's journey is a fascinating one, from international modeling to acting in the world of 90s daytime drama, and later making a bold pivot to an entirely different career. A smart move, in my opinion. Tonight, we're talking about his time on World Turns, life on set during that era, and what it was like stepping away from the spotlight to redefine success on his own terms. I'm really glad he's here with us tonight, so let's get started. Please help me welcome Alexander Walters to the Locher Room. Hey, Alex.
Hey, how's it going, Alan?
I am well. Thanks so much for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure's all mine.
I was a big fan during your period on the soap, so we'll get there. But before we dive in, you were born in Canada and grew up there. Take us back. How would you describe your childhood and the environment you grew up in there?
I grew up in a middle-class family in Toronto, Ontario. My mom was a teacher. My dad was an engineer. Had four siblings. Had a farm. My dad had a farm, I think, in retrospect, was specifically just to teach us how to work. So we spent a lot of weekends working at the farm and the summers working at the farm. And and then as everybody grew up and went off to university, everyone kind of dispersed and went to different parts of Canada. And my parents over time sold the farm, retired, sold their house, and ended up in Western Canada. And ultimately, my whole family migrated to Western Canada, to Vancouver, British Columbia.
What did you set out to do early on? Did you have a career goal in mind? Was acting always on your radar?
Ironically, it was in high school. I wanted to start modeling for some weird reason. And I don't know what it was. I think my oldest sister was dating a guy that worked for Campbell Soup, and they asked if I would do a photo shoot for Campbell Soup, and I was like, sure. I was still in high school, I think, when I did this. I forgot about this till right now. And so I did a photo shoot with this girl, and we were in a tent and pretending to be camping, and then they published it, and I think that's when I got bit by the bug. But it was short-lived.
Campbell Soup.
Yeah, it was short-lived. And then my brother was in the military, and I thought I would follow his footsteps and go in the military. So I went to military college. And after military college, I went to Montreal to bartend, and I was going to university in Montreal at Bishop's University, while working at a nightclub. And then a model agent came in and asked me if I wanted to start modeling. And so it came back again, and I was like, wow, sure.
That's amazing, because I did not, I knew that you were discovered at a bar, but I didn't realize it had crossed your mind to do it prior to that as well.
Yeah, I thought about it years ago, and then I was like, no, and then continued on the other path. And then they came in, asked me if I wanted to model. And I remember my first shoot, I made a bunch of money, and I was like, wow, that was pretty easy money, and enjoyed it. And so I modeled in Montreal for a few years, and then Elite Model Management out of Chicago came up and sponsored me to go down to the States to model. So then I left Montreal, went to Chicago, and modeled down there for a couple of years. Did commercial and some fashion, and worked for a really well-known photographer, Victor Skrymneski, that did a lot of really artistic photography. Some of those are some of my favorite pictures I ever did. And while I was there, I went to LA to see an agency in February. And when I went to LA, it was sunny and beautiful and warm. Chicago was freezing cold.
Yeah.
And
it was 5 this morning here in New Jersey, just so you know.
Yeah, so I came from Canada, I went to Chicago. I've been living in the cold my whole life, and then flew to LA. and was like, oh my God, I can't believe there's places in the world where it's this nice in February. And said, why would anyone want to live anywhere else? So went back to Chicago, packed up my stuff, moved to LA, and started modeling in LA, and then slowly started doing commercials in LA, and then started doing acting classes, the typical LA actor thing.
What did it surprise you? But when the guy discovered you at the bar, like, did it? I mean, just to bring up something you had been considering, and then boom, somebody says, "Hey."
It was funny. It was a lady too. She owned what was the name of the agency in Montreal? I can't remember the agency, but they were affiliated with Elite. I didn't realize it at the time. And she's like, you're gonna have to get photos and pictures. So of course, I went to the wrong people, got the wrong kind of headshots, and wasted a bunch of money. But eventually, got the right pictures. Put they used to call them Z cards together.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember.
Like a postcard.
Do you remember?
I didn't know what they were called, but a postcard with multiple pictures, right?
Yeah, that was our calling card for years.
And it was called a Z card.
It was called a Z card back then.
Does Z mean anything?
I can't. That's what we call them. I can't remember what it means or what it represents. Could have been because sometimes they folded out. They were like 3 layers, so maybe that's why they called it a Z card. They started with just a regular one that had pictures on all sides, and then a fold out. And then when I moved to LA, then we used to get fancy, and they'd be color, and they would have pictures of the different campaigns that you've done and jobs that you've done. And it was like a headshot. If you're lucky to do that stuff. So the more work you got, the nicer your Z cards would be, and then the agents would use those and send them to casting agents for the modeling jobs. And then they also use them for the commercial stuff. I did tons of commercials in the early 90s, actually all through the 90s. Wow. Even when I came back.
Who, when you think back, whether it was modeling, acting teachers, who were some of the mentors who helped guide your journey, your path?
I had a good acting teacher in LA that I learned a lot from. That was a pretty integral part in my career. But when I got on the show in New York, we kind of drifted apart after that. But I was like I was a working actor. Like I supported myself off of modeling, doing commercials, and was fortunate enough to be able to have a career doing it and be able to support myself. And so it was a lot of fun being young in the early 90s in LA, modeling and doing commercials and traveling. We used to travel all over the place. Doing commercial
What's the best
shoots.
place you got to travel modeling?
Bali was really nice. Went to Bali. I used to do Men's Fitness a lot. Remember Men's Fitness, the magazine?
Yeah, of course.
Still around.
Yeah.
Did a bunch of covers for that, and we did it in Bali and Florida and Hawaii, and I just did a lot of stuff like that. Modeled a lot for German designers out of Miami. Used to go to Miami all the time. Go back to New York and Chicago occasionally from LA, but then after a while I kind of phased mostly into doing commercials, and then started auditioning for stuff probably right before I got on the show for As the World Turns. So
you really just started acting just before getting World Turns?
Pretty much, yeah. Just done a few little parts, but done a ton of acting classes. That was the thing back then. Everybody was in acting classes. Some people were doing stage. Most of us were just trying to learn how to act in acting classes.
Crazy. Well, somebody said hello from Thailand. Now we have Italy. There were a lot of people watching, and some folks who said the real Mark Kasnoff is in the house.
Oh, that's too funny. This is a real blast of the past, because that was 30 years ago, and I've been out of the acting industry since my daughter was born, so 22 years.
Crazy. Take us back. How did the role of Mark come up? What do you remember about your audition? Did you have to screen test?
It's funny. One of the things I used to do in LA too was all the stuff's coming back to me now. I used to be a precision driver as well. Basically, I got hired as a model to do a car photo shoot. And so that the photographer said, "Can you come around the corner really fast?" And I was like, "Sure." So because they wanted to be able to get a picture of like a model driving a car, but most models couldn't drive cars. And I've been bombing around on cars and spinning them out my whole life. So I ended up working exclusively for this guy doing and he would do all the like Porsche and Jag, all the cars that were coming out the year before. And I would do all the campaigns for them. And over the years, I got better and better and better at driving the cars. And because back then, before AI and Photoshop, we only could shoot right when the sun was coming up and right when it was setting. So you had like this 15-minute window where the light was just perfect. And we used to shoot in the desert and all these beautiful locations. So everything had to be perfect. And then we'd have a truck go through, wet the road. I'd come sliding through with the car because they'd want to get the picture of the water spraying up off the back tires and the front tires as I'm coming through. So I was doing a photo shoot in Oregon and for this guy, and I had auditioned a couple of times. And when I was in Oregon, I found out that I was going to be flying to New York to do basically a screen test with a bunch of other actors. And I was kind of had at that point in my acting career because I really took the learning part of it seriously. Like I dug into my past psychology. I was reading tons of books. I really needed and wanted to understand myself so I could understand the characters. So it was very cathartic for me learning acting. So I went all in and tried to learn as much as I could. And I remember being because we were at some remote location staying in this little hotel that was, I think it was called the Bunny Hotel, because years ago, the people that used to own it had rabbits and they got out and they bred, and there was millions of them all over this little remote secluded motel. We were staying in these little cabins. And I remember standing in a payphone at night, and like it was the only phone booth in this little like campground area, and there was rabbits as far as I could see and in the payphone booth with me while I was talking to my agent. And they're like, "You're going to New York as soon as you get back." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And so I remember being in that old cabin, like just getting really into the character, really studying it, really enjoying it, and got back to LA, flew to New York, and did the screen test with Martha Byrne.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay. Yeah.
Her and I really connected. We had great chemistry, and flew back to LA. And shortly after that, I got the part, if not like almost right away.
Because I don't remember fully, was Mark and Lily supposed to get together, or did they just use Martha to screen test? Do you remember?
I think they used Martha for the screen test because ultimately we did, from what I remember, we did have a romantic relationship, I think, on the show. I had a couple.
No, I know you had a couple. I didn't remember Lily, though. I didn't remember Lily off the top of my head. I mean, I know Yvonne Perry, Rosanna. Say it again?
Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she wasn't.
No, she might have been.
She was married.
Well, no, she definitely had.
I don't think she was. I don't think she was. She must have just used her for the screen test because she was married to somebody else.
Will tell me if I'm not remembering correctly.
Yeah.
But you were with Yvonne Perry, Rosanna, and Allison Rice, Connor.
Yes. So you're right. I don't think I ever there. I swear there was some undertone there. Forgive me, fans. I can't remember.
I can't either. And I watched, but I mean, I didn't watch daily then, but
when were you working on the show?
No, you got there when? 95?
95 to 97, I think.
And you just left before I got there. I got there in August of 97.
Oh, yeah. So I remember driving back across the country in the summer, back to LA.
Yeah, so I got there in August. What I mean, Was that your first screen test?
I think it was. I had a couple other big auditions prior to that, but that was the first screen test I think that I had done.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
it must have been exciting to get not only getting the call at the Bunning Motel that you got the screen test, but the agent calling you to say you got the part must have been a pretty exciting moment too.
Yeah. Oh, it was very. I remember that clearly. That's why I can remember the
Tony
Bunny
just told
Motel.
me. Now this makes sense. Yes, I do remember. You saved Martha in Italy, in Malta. I think is Malta Italy. I forget. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that.
Yes, Malta. But that you helped save her. She was, I think, kidnapped there, and Holden went to save her, and Damien, and all of
But we
that.
never had
I don't think
it was never
so.
a love
Yeah,
interest. Okay. That's hilarious. I
it's
barely
hilarious.
remember the names of the other girls that were the love interests. I remember Allison.
Yeah, Connor. Yeah, Connor Walsh.
Yes, Connor Walsh.
Connor Walsh and Rosanna Cabot. Um, did somebody take you under their wing when you arrived? Because that's got to be intimidating too. Your first time on set and figuring out how a daytime soap works.
Not really. I remember, like I became pretty good friends with Sean Christian,
Who
who
played your
was my
brother?
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good guy. I really liked him. There was another. I remember distinctly when I was in the green room, waiting to go out, and I can't remember the name of the actor. He'd been on the show a long time, and I was just sitting at the table. I was pretty fresh, and he turns to me and he looks at me and he goes, the minute, and I'll try not to use any bad words, I am in construction,
Yeah.
and he goes, the minute you start believing your fan mail, you're effed. Don't believe your fan mail. And he like yelled at me and then stomped out of the green room. And I was like, whoa, what was that? But it did resonate with me because when I was on the show is just when the internet was getting going, and people, like, you had your fan mail that people would send, and then like I used to have to pay people, and eventually I had my mom doing it, and then she got sick of doing it, so I've had to pay someone else to do it, because back then it was just envelopes and letters,
Yeah.
and you could only read so many of them if you tried to do it on your own. But then the internet started and people started commenting, and I remember going up there and some of the young assistants would like read the comments, and I was like, oh, that's not very nice. and I think that must have been the beginning of trolling on the internet.
I mean, I have to admit, I was very lucky to, be doing PR just before it really became too much, because
Yeah,
I can't imagine today the instantaneous, reaction to every moment, every move you make on a soap.
it would be crazy because like even all the soap opera magazines that you'd interview with and do
Yeah.
pictures with, it was a process, and then the magazine would go out and then your family and friends would see them while they're waiting in line at the grocery store,
Yeah.
and that was it. People look at it, read it, and you didn't know if they hated you or liked you or whatever back then. But now you're right, it'd be really weird now to have an instantaneous response to what you're doing.
It would. You mentioned earlier that you had 4 siblings. Did that make it easier to build a bond with your on-screen brother, Sean Christian?
John!
Sean Christian, everybody.
What's up?
Oh, it's so good to see you, man.
So good to see you, man.
You look great. We haven't aged.
No, timeless.
Well, people were saying that about you, Alex.
Lighting.
Now they'll say it about you, Sean. Hey, Sean, good to see you, my friend.
How are you, Alan? Thank you for inviting me, man. I really appreciate it. When you brought Alex's name up, I'm like, yeah, I'd jump in on that any day.
Oh, it is so good to see you. Wow,
too,
that's a nice surprise.
Does it bring back memories? It must have been really fun having, a brother on screen and a pal off screen.
It was awesome. I mean, we enjoyed our time together. You know, I was on the show. They're bringing your brother. I'm like, sweet. You know, and they bring this big Nordic stud man with the hair. I'm like, oh, and he's handsome and he's cool. So we got along really, really well, man. On and off screen, dude. I cannot wait. Now, you know, I'm gonna have to catch up with you after this at some point.
Oh, 100. Alan, can you please make sure we?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
You're actually. I mean, you're in Tahoe, right, Sean?
Yeah, I'm up in Lake Tahoe right now. Yeah. Where are you at? Are you in LA? Where are you at?
I am currently in Phoenix doing some construction projects out here, and will most likely be migrating to LA because our company has projects in Seattle. Okay. So, but I've been in Canada for 22 years. Since my daughter was born, we moved to Canada, and I've just been doing construction. Recently got deployed down here with my wife to Phoenix, so I'm slowly working my way back to LA.
Okay, all right.
So we're close.
We're close. I'm a little to the north. A lot more snow, particularly now, but you'll love it. It's awesome. I'm so happy for you. So, do you have just one daughter, or how many kids you got?
Yeah, a daughter and a son. Our daughter's 22. Our son's 30.
Right.
He's off on his own. Daughter's still at home.
Yep. Awesome, man. Well, my son's 25 now. He's in LA. He designed streetwear, man. He's just like loves it. That's his zone, man. He started with the hip hop music and turned into fashion, and he is his own man. That's for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You both have a son and a daughter.
Yes, I do. I have daughters from previous marriages.
Yeah.
So yeah, my life got a little more complicated, Alex, in certain but better by far, but complicated to say the least. But I'm alive and well, man. Grateful to even just be here, man, and having this chat with you. I was excited when
did you two hit it off right from the start?
Right from the start.
Right from the start, man. Absolutely. I mean, we were, you know, he's like, any questions, anybody, we were just there to support each other, and in any capacity. And even on our personal appearances, man, we had each other's back all the time. And it was just one of these things that, you know, you hear, right? You know, the problem is in the entertainment industry in general, right? Everybody's more than willing to share all the bad stories. Oh, I worked with this person or that, you know what I mean? Like, but certainly I can tell you the joy and the experiences like I had with Alex and one of my first go-rounds. I mean, that was my big break. So humility and gratitude every step of the way. And then when you come on in with a brother who's just is cool and he's in it, and we wanted to make the best of those moments in any way we could, even if they were like, all right, you two take your shirts off, you're working out. Again?
Yeah, we did that a lot, didn't we?
They knew they had the money. They knew they had the money shot with you two.
Oh, it was hilarious. But it was cool, man. And it makes it an enjoyable process. And in that process, you go, you know what, man, these are great memories. So when Alan reached out, I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to see his face again and just reconnect. So
that is so awesome. I'm so glad, dude. We are going to get caught up. We got
a lot
of years to get caught up on.
Years, man.
A lot of years. Before you go anywhere, I want to get a picture of the three of us.
Okay, I'll smile. I guess I'll smile.
Yeah. Everybody smile. 1, 2, and 3. Let's see how that came out. Sean, what's going on with you and Ari? How's life out there?
Life is good, man. It is a little chilly, as you can imagine. But that part for us, life is good. I just got done. So I'm coaching people now around the world, which is a huge blessing. Really empowering them to believe they can create a life that inspires them to feel alive, man, instead of just getting through it, because I think I've had so many ups and downs in my life to really give people that skill set, those tools, which I've studied, and a School of Life was my greatest teacher, but then I really, really doubled down on with some thought leaders, and I'll speak at events, but coaching. And then now we have a whole clothing line, a lifestyle brand, Aloha, that really, really, for those people who are on a passionate pursuit towards their own peak potential. I kind of geek out on it, on myself and for others, man. I just want the best for anybody. And it's kind of painful when I see people, struggling with some of the things that I might have been going through, or I see them, hit that proverbial brick wall. I'm like, no, we can create a solution. And just got off the session prior to this, empowering, man. It's a great reward.
But it's incredible, both of you, because acting is a tough profession, and to be able to find something, that you enjoy, that's sustainable, that, helps support your families is incredible, because it's not always that easy. People do struggle.
People do. I mean, it's certainly in the creative industry. I remind people it's a gypsy lifestyle, right? I'll still do movies occasionally, or if someone calls me for a role, I'm like, yeah, I'll go, depending on what the gig is. But for the most part, finding those things that fulfill you, like the why was I acting, right? And Alex and I talked, neither one of us were out to get rich or famous, or we weren't really motivated by that, right? We loved having an experience and sharing that with somebody else. And that's the beauty of film and television. So now the transition, or the evolution, if you will, is now to go, well, wait, not only can I share the experience on screen, but why don't you create that for yourself, and not just as an actor, but as a human being, to go, well, what is that thing that makes you feel alive? And then, people start to connect the dots of their lives, and they start creating the experiences that they get when they see us on film.
It takes a while for that pivot to happen. Like when I moved from LA to Canada, and it went from the sunshine and acting and all that stuff, and I was doing construction on the side to just solely doing construction, and moving to this environment that it was one of the wettest winters in Vancouver at the time, and it was just pouring rain. I was actually back on the tools in the mud, and I'm like, what happened? I was on TV, and now I'm doing, and it took a long time for me to get through that and to understand and make the pivot and start to see the success in that industry, and then start to grow in that industry. And then I was finally comfortable with what I was doing and where I was at. But there was a transition there that I struggled with for a while.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
It was because I'd been in it for quite a while, all the way from the mid 80s up until the early 2000s. And then I just abandoned it.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
but you're still creating though, right? So are you part of a whole design team, and now you create?
That's the thing I do love about it is, I'm a director of construction operations. So I oversee the projects in all the different, markets that we have, and big projects, like big 3-tower projects with huge amenities and pools. And so for me, the enjoyment comes from putting together these teams, teaching them, training them, mentoring them, and seeing the success of the project, not just for the team, but for the ownership as well. Right. And then you have all the homeowners that come in and buy the properties after we build them. So it gets very satisfying, but it took a long time to get to that point. In my career where I got to do it at that scale. But now I love it. And I'm like, thank God I got into it when I did. Yeah. And I don't know what else I would want to do at this point. It'd be fun. It would be fun to act in something small and simple, like a little play somewhere, just to act. Just to see what it was like.
We need somebody to write something for the two of you.
That'd be awesome. Fun. Absolutely.
That would be so fun.
That would be a 360 moment, man. That would be.
it would be a 360 moment. You're absolutely right. You shared the funny story about. Go ahead, Alex.
No. Well, I was just going to say that you had mentioned that you're coaching. It must be life coaching.
Yep.
At this point, my wife and I had the opportunity to meet Tony Robbins, and because a guy that I worked with's daughter married him, so we got invited to go to one of his events in Palm Springs, and that was life-changing. Like, it was one of those times, and I remember we were sitting up front because we were there with the wife's family, and he goes, some people tell me that I'm a brainwasher. And then he looked at me and he goes, maybe somebody needs a good brainwashing, and he winked right at me, and our life changed after that experience. And we went back up to Canada, and then I doubled down in the construction industry, my wife and our relationship improved exponentially. And
wow.
so we went through his coaching program. She got her life coaching thing. I got it. I never did it, but I used that and the tools that I learned from that in construction with all the different teams.
Incredible that you're both doing something
similar.
That's what I mean. We got so much to get caught up on.
We do. I mean, you said it, like you're mentoring, you're coaching, you're building, you're bringing these teams together. That is so powerful to me. I'd love to meet him or go to one of his experiences. But he's one of those thought leaders who has seen it over the decades. I'm going to digress on Tony Robbins, but the idea that because I watched another one with him today, a little podcast. He's about to do an event, so he's kind of everywhere on social media at the moment. But just relentless perspective over the ages, and then the no excuses BS thing that I'm a big proponent of accountability, responsibility, and we feel pretty empowered, and that's a gift, man. He's amazing. Some of the work that he does, and what a blessing, man. I love to hear that story, man. He's that experience.
I will definitely connect you to when we're off. Before I let you go, I know you shared the funny story about the shirts off. Any other funny stories come to mind? I mean, I know it's 1 or 2 years ago, but
wow. Go ahead, Al. You got anything?
I remember we went on a couple.
I know where you're going.
Personal appearances.
Baseball games.
I know exactly where you were going to go, and I was going to bring it up. No one's getting the details of this ever, but
we had some fun.
I mean, now I'm just like, I'm kind of it's really warm right now, Alex.
We did a lot of autograph signing and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well said. 20 points.
and we lived in Manhattan. I mean, that's it was like nightclub party central. So we went out and had a lot of fun.
There was a lot of 90s. Yes.
Yeah.
It was still the heyday back then. Yeah.
It was. True. That's all I'm going to say about that. He's right.
Well, you're both here to tell the story, so that's a good sign.
Yes, amen to that.
Amen to that. True. Sean, thank you so much for stopping by. Say hi to your beautiful wife.
I will. She's up there. She's also hustling, working her tail off right now. So I absolutely would tell her you said hello, Alex, and you'll exchange our information and we'll catch up, dude.
Sean. Love you, brother. It's so awesome to see you, man, and get reconnected. Thanks for doing this, Alan.
100%. Thank you,
My
Alan.
pleasure,
I appreciate it. All right, man.
I know the fans are loving it.
I'll talk to you soon. All right. Big aloha, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later, brother. Bye. That was amazing.
That was fun.
That was amazing. Thank you. I always thought about Sean and where he is and what he's doing and what's going on in his life, right?
And so interesting that sort of how your lives, many years later.
Yeah, kind of did this.
Right. But without knowing it, you both sort of going through the same motions and same, path in many ways. Did you also do Days of Our Lives?
Yes, I did. When I came back from it's funny when I lived in New York.
Where did you live in the city?
I lived right in Midtown, like a few blocks away from the studio. 50.
So Hell's Kitchen.
No, uptown, closer to the park. 57th and Broadway, basically.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's where I work now. I'm basically at 58th and Broadway. That's
no way. All right,
that's where my office is.
I wonder if all those restaurants I used to eat dinner at are still around, all the little diners and.
The diner on 55th and Broadway is still there. There is a diner on 55th and Broadway.
If it's the same one, I used to eat dinner there and read my scripts almost every night. And then there's just all the little restaurants and stores that I used to go to get my food from and shop. I used to love living in Midtown. Park was right up the street. I had my dogs.
Well, you were really close. 57th between 10th and 11th, where the studio was, and 57th and Broadway was where you lived. That was an easy commute.
I walk to work every day.
Wow, I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. I lived on 48th and 10th, and then on 37th and 10th. But I love that
You're
area.
living and you're living in the city
Now
again
in
now.
New Jersey. Now I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Left the city about 10 years ago, but happy about it.
Yeah, I haven't been back there in a long time.
Yeah. When was the last time you were in the city? Yeah, it is quite different than the 90s.
I can't remember.
I would think that diner, because that diner seems to have, and I remember going to that diner for a long time, like a lot of other things have really changed. And
I'm sure if I went back there now, it would look completely different.
yeah, it would. So you went back to LA. So, because I know the executive producer who came in, I think, decided to get rid of Mark and Connor and that group. Was it hard leaving and going back to LA?
I was sad to see the character go away, but I did miss living in California, so I was happy to get back there.
Yeah.
And
cold New York.
Cold New York, and I'd never been in such a densely populated city. And when I was in LA, I was at the beach all the time, camping, hiking, and I remember walking down the streets looking up at the buildings thinking, oh my God, can I do this for a couple of years living here in the city? But I got used to it. And that you kind of pivot and you do different things living in a city, like going to nightclubs and dinners. And, I was still fairly young. My wife was young when I met her. So we had a lot of fun living in the city.
I bet. And she was coming from a small town in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. But
yeah,
she'd been traveling. She was in the Navy, so she's a veteran, a Gulf War veteran, but she never went to the Gulf. But she was in the Navy during the Gulf War. But she was stationed in Hawaii, so I met her shortly after she got out of the Navy.
Thanks for her service.
I will.
That's impressive.
And that's why she does so well in construction, because she doesn't take anything from anybody.
I was just going to say she puts people in their place, I'm sure.
The trades are scared of her. If I have to get involved, and I always tell the trades, I'm like, I'm not here to protect her. I'm here to protect you from her.
That's amazing. So what do you remember about Days of Our Lives?
Oh yeah. So when I was it's funny when you have certain things in your life and you regret some of the decisions you made, but then later on you're like, okay, that was probably an okay decision. I had been off the show, staying at my friend's farm, the guy that bought the farm in Pennsylvania, just for a few weeks, and I got a call from Days of Our Lives that offered me a contract. And I talked to my manager at the time, and that's why we stopped working together. And he said, don't do another soap, come back and do TV. And so I turned the contract down, and I regretted that the whole time I was in LA. And so when I was in LA, that casting director loved me. I can't remember her name. And so even though
I don't know back then if it was Marnie.
That sounds familiar.
Marnie's been there a long time, and everybody who talks about her says she's phenomenal.
She was so nice, and she was like, Alex, you can have this part. It's yours. And I said, no, I talked to my manager. He just wanted me to go into nighttime and blah, blah, blah. So I turned it down. But when I did get back to LA and I was going out in auditions and doing TV stuff, like guest star stuff, I had a recurring role on Days of Our Lives. I can't remember. It was a funny name, the character, Barry Schmickman or something like that. And so I would get on there occasionally. It's funny too, because I remember coming from my projects in my work truck, showing up just in time at the studio, going in, showering, cleaning, and then putting on a tuxedo, and then going out and doing the parts, because that's when I was starting to heavily get back into construction.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, isn't it so interesting? I mean, somebody tells you not to take it, and Yeah, it's hard. I
Yeah.
can't imagine. I mean, I've talked to many actors. I mean, that's just you don't know. You don't know the right
And there's,
choice.
yeah, you're like, that's the thing, like that actor in the green room that said, "Don't believe your fan mail." That's the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to become a TV star. It's time to transition from soaps to TV to movie stars. You know what I mean? Everybody that has some success thinks they're going to be a big movie star, and so I wanted to stay on that trajectory rather than taking the paycheck. But I like the way my life had turned out. It's just, you don't know that everything, all the decisions you make along the way bring you to where you're at. You know what I mean?
You really have no idea. Yeah. One one turn, one yes, one no, all those things.
Yeah.
We'll get to listening to your mom about construct, all of that. There's
Yeah.
there's so many things. How did the Mortal Kombat universe come into your world?
That was an audition that I went and tried out for, and that was a really fun. Met some really cool people on that episode. The girl that did it with, I forget her name.
Kristana
She ended
Loken?
up. That's it, Kristana Loken. Yeah, really nice girl. She ended up.
You know where she
doing
got her
well in
start?
career. No,
As the World Turns.
she started on As the World Turns.
She was
She probably told me that, but that was a million years ago.
she literally was like a 13-year-old, maybe even younger. Yeah, one of her first. And with Jason Biggs.
That's too funny. She ended up, I remember the last thing I remember seeing her on was Terminator. Remember, she was one of the Terminators.
Yeah, she had a big role. Yeah, she had a big role on that.
I haven't seen her since then. I'm sure she's done a bunch of stuff.
She was on my show to talk about a movie. I forget what the movie was called at the time. She had a movie come out with Jean-Claude Van Damme, actually. She did a movie with him, but she's also, I think, producing her own things.
Oh, cool. That's always nice to see how people where they go.
I know, but it's so funny.
Careers.
Well, for Sean, for Kristana, for you, As the World Turns was the break.
Yeah, it was. It was a fun break.
Yeah, of course. I want to hear the stories. It sounds like it was fun.
Yeah, there's the PG version you're getting now,
yeah,
and there's definitely an R-rated
two
one.
young guys in New York City. Yeah, I'm sure. And on a soap. Were you familiar with soaps when World Turns came calling?
Sort of. I grew up with my sister watching Young and the Restless, and that was actually one of my first acting gigs. Was on Young and the Restless when I first moved to LA. I had a really small part. And that was like made my sister's day. I got on.
I was going to say she must have been through the roof.
Yeah, so that was my exposure to soaps, was just growing up with her watching them. But after that, I never really paid much attention to them until I got on the show.
And were you surprised at how hard they were? In the sense of, I mean, it's not like primetime where you do one page a day. I mean, you had to learn.
Oh, I was terrified when I remember when I got there and they gave me like a stack of scripts like this, and I called my manager and I was like, I can't do this, and I'm like, there's no way I can memorize all this stuff, and I didn't realize that they still break it down into scenes and over days, and I was like, I thought I had to memorize a script a day, but I remember people telling me, your memory is like a muscle, and you get used to it. And so I was doing everything I could for my memory. There's a restaurant that I would go get salmon at like every night because I know the omegas were good for my brain, and eating lots of carrots. I did everything I could to help my memory. And then it got to the point where you get so used to reading them and absorbing them that I could read the script walking to the studio in the morning for the scenes that day, and I'd have it memorized by the time I got there. And
Wow.
so you get used to it. It was terrifying in the beginning. Probably took about 6 months, and I remember actors telling me it takes about 6 months to get used to that volume of memorization, and then you actually get used to it. Probably going to keep me from getting Alzheimer's.
Hey, whatever works. I mean, I'll take it. I'll
Yeah,
start
exactly.
pretending that I have to, that I'm an actor, and I'll just start trying to remember lines. Yeah, I mean, it really is incredible. I am still astounded at what daytime actors can put into their brains day in and day out, because there are many primetime stars who could not do what you have done in daytime.
Oh, it's such good training. And whenever I would do TV or film stuff after that, you would I would be like a 1 or 2 take for scenes where normal actors would do multiple takes, because we were so used to doing everything in 1 take.
Yeah.
Like you do a dress rehearsal in the morning, and and then I can't remember how exactly we did. I think we did just a dry run in the morning, and then we do a dress rehearsal before it'd go to camera, and then we'd shoot it. And then that was it. You were done.
You'd be surprised to watch today's daytime soaps. I don't think there's dry rehearsal. I don't think there is dress rehearsal. It is learn your lines and go.
Straight into shooting.
Basically, because of money, yeah. It takes a lot. So they really have eliminated a lot of all of that, which is unfortunate, because I know that the dry rehearsal, the dress rehearsal gives you that moment. So a lot of what's happening is really actors, if you care enough, and you find an acting scene partner who wants to work on it, you work on it in your dressing room and you go.
Yeah. We used to do that too, but I know we always used to do
you still have the other opportunities. Yeah. The speed is really, probably double to triple what you recall. And it was fast in 97. It was fast then. So it's amazing. Really what daytime actors, if you had your druthers and a part came along, what type of part would you want today? I know you said stage, but is there have you always wanted to do?
Oh, I'd love to do it stage. That would be fun, just to dabble in acting, but it would be fun to play a character. I did a couple of bad guys towards the end, and like Baywatch, Hawaii, and this Wildfire 7 thing. Because in the construction industry, I'm a little bit of a bad guy. I'm the guy that comes in and pushes the job to completion. So I'm that guy. So okay. I would just be art, would be imitating life. And it's actually, I got a funny story. When I moved to Canada, I'd never told anybody I had done acting. And I was at one of my projects over Christmas with crews, finishing something, because I wanted to make sure it was ready when the new year hit. This one, I remember we were blue skinning in, that's a peel and stick for all our commercial windows where the stores were. And my foreman was at home watching TV because he was off because it was Christmas, but I was a workaholic and worked all the time. And he's like, "Did you do a movie? Did you act?" And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "It's you. I know it's you. That's you." He was watching the movie while I was at work, and he said, "I knew it was you by the way you were yelling at everybody." He goes, "You yelled the same in the movie as you do in real life." So it would be a blast to go do something for a couple of weeks, play a character on something. It would be a lot of fun.
It actually sounds like you'd be a great director too, by because you're directing these projects.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm basically a director. Well, I am a director. That's my title.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you are. But you're directing. Talk about that, because I really, I said it. It is so impressive. That even when you first started acting, you earned your general contractor's license. Were you interested in construction that time, or was it just an opportunity that presented itself?
I've always loved building things since I was a kid. That's like I said, we had a farm, and my dad, I think, had the farm solely to teach us how to work. So I learned how to use tools at a very young age, worked with framers at a very young age. So I was always using my hands and was always on the tools. And so when I got to California and I had the opportunity to finish building this house, and the guy that owned the house, I got a good deal on the house because I said I'd finish it. And then he's like, oh, you know what you're doing? And I'm like, yeah, I love building. And he's like, why don't you work with me? And I actually worked for him for free. I said, if you sponsor me to get my California general contractor's license, I'll build for you for free if you teach me and sponsor me. So I apprenticed for him, and he never paid me for like multiple projects. And I would just, as long as I could just keep going and doing my modeling gigs and acting gigs, he was like, no problem. So, and we became very close, very good friends. And so I learned, like, he took me to that next level of construction. And so it's just something I've always loved doing. Even my first wife, when I was acting and she was acting, she's like, why are you acting? Like, you should be doing construction. That's what you're good at. And I'm like, I like acting. I want to act. And same thing happened when, I got on the soap and was like, okay, you're on a soap. But then when I moved back to LA, everyone was like, well, why aren't you doing construction? And my parents are like, why aren't you doing construction? I'm like, because I like acting. And I ironically, when I first moved back to LA, I needed to work, and I had bartended in Montreal when I first got discovered. And so I got a job bartending at a nightclub. And I got to know the owner of the nightclub really well, and the manager, and the nightclub closed. And that owner of that nightclub, he would buy bankrupt nightclubs and revamp them and bring them back to life. And so the manager was also an ex-construction guy. And so when the nightclub closed, we started a construction business together. And we would build bars and nightclubs for this guy. And through this guy, we started to get clients. And as a contractor in LA, I met more famous people and worked for them as a contractor than I did in acting. And it was really, really weird. Like, one of my best clients that we had was Robert Evans, who produced all the Godfather movies. And he had a beautiful house in Beverly Hills, and his wife would hire us to go to do room additions and like remodel and rebuild things on the house. And every time we were there, Ed Norton show up, and then they'd scoot us out of the house. My wife was with me one time, and the butlers came over like, out, 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 everyone get out of the house. And we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And then we'd see Ed Norton walk in, and then we'd be working again. And he's like, everyone get out, leave the house. And then Jack Nicholson would come down, and he was good friends with Robert Evans. And he had one of those classic Hollywood homes where out in the backyard was a big pool with the fountain spraying into the pool. And then behind the pool, he had this separate old house. Everything was built by this famous architect in the 20s and 30s. And he had a old reel-to-reel projector in that little house in the back. And he had big leather chairs with cigars in the chairs and a big bar, and his old Hollywood movie star buddies would come down, and they would hang out in there and smoke cigars and watch movies. And it was the coolest thing. And like I said, I met more interesting, famous people when I was doing construction than when I actually was acting. And so that's when, that guy I started doing construction with, that I had met at the nightclub, we would do the business together, and then I'd take off to go do stuff. But this time it was different because I was helping support the business, and we had a company together, and it used to stress him out when I would go off and do stuff, because I would leave him alone to manage everything.
Yeah, I can't imagine, managing the projects you're managing today and going off and doing something. It doesn't sound like those projects would get done.
That would be a hard sell to the ownership. Unless
Do you
it was
have a
a very
favorite
short
project
period
you've
of
worked
time.
on? construction?
I've done so many different projects. I love doing big tower projects. The builder that I work for now, we do commercial, residential, and we just wrapped up a just in construction costs. It was about $1 billion project in Canada, 3 towers. It's like 1,600 homes in the size of the project. 11-story parkades, 6-story amenities with like gyms and pools and restaurants. They're big projects. They're big 5-year projects, but I'll oversee multiple projects that size at the same time. And that one, though, was very satisfying finishing it. My wife was on one of the towers. Most of the projects I've been on, I've deployed her on one of the towers to finish the tower that we work on. So yeah, we're a funny couple. Like, people are like, I don't know how you guys do it, but we both love, because she's been in construction with me since the beginning. So she's been around it. She knows it. She used to help me deal with the homeowners when we used to do home building. And so it was just a natural step for her to come into doing the big concrete construction.
You make it work. I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's nice that you can do that. So are you dealing with everybody from like architect to every, I don't know a thing about construction, but I mean, I know it starts basically with
everybody,
and then
yeah,
everybody under that, basically.
The whole team from the top down, from the VPs to the project managers, the senior project managers, the project coordinators, the junior project managers, and then that's the team behind the setup and the contracts and everything. And then we have all the site tradesmen, all the different trades that we deal with: the plumbing, the electrician, the mechanical, window installs, all the different suppliers. Like, when I go to sites and take them over to help them get to completion, because usually what happens is we get these projects going and they go for 2-3 years. And then when you get close to the finish line, we can't miss that completion date. So that's usually when I go and give that particular project most of my attention. And so we meet with every trade every single day. So like, my meeting rooms are like massive, and there's like 50 guys sitting around the table, and we go through every single aspect of the job, what's happening here, what's happening there, who's doing this, what's doing that. And so I just basically railroad the job right to the end with the whole project management team, designers, architects, everything. Like, I just kind of push everybody to the finish line. And then once it gets done, we go finish another one.
That's impressive. I was going to ask if you are on it from the beginning, because it almost sounded like the way you said, like, you come in and you're the closer, but you're towards the end.
I'm involved right from the beginning on the inception of the job, and the excavation, shoring, help with the setup of the trades and the design and all that stuff, and leave pretty much just pop in and out of the site to make sure everything's still running and managing it well and making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then as it gets closer to the end, that's when I usually get heavily involved in the job. Like, I'll come in for like the last 6 months.
I can't imagine the attention to detail that you have to have for a role like that.
It's crazy. People think that I've got mental problems, because I'll go 7 days a week for like 6-7 months and grind the job out. But I'll do things like bring in food trucks like Wednesdays and Fridays. And then if I can get trades to come in on Saturdays, I'll feed them all. So like, during a job that size, we'll have 1,000 guys on site every day. And then on the weekends, if I feed them all, I'll get at least 500-600 coming in on Saturday and Sundays. So I'll keep the site open 7 days a week, all the way to the completion of the job. But that's just in the last like 6 months of the job. I don't do that all the way through the whole job. We keep tracking it. And then I come in and then I do the final push.
Quite impressive, sir. Quite impressive.
So yeah, it's definitely different than acting, but I'm sure the acting has helped come into play when you got to sit in front of a whole bunch of people and tell them what they're supposed to do. So
100%. Well, if I hope we can, find that script for you and Sean, and
that would
get
be
you-
that would be so fun to play brothers again. He's aged really well, so
you both have the fans were saying that from the moment you popped on. So
that's
Hot
funny.
dog.
We've both always been super into sports and fitness and never let it go.
You shouldn't. You live longer, right?
That's, you know what, I have the mindset now, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I just keep moving every day.
It's a great way to end this. Alex, thank you so much for spending the time with me.
My pleasure. It was awesome. Thank you so much for bringing Sean on. That was the best surprise ever. I loved it.
You're so welcome. I will send you his info. I'll email you.
Yeah, email me and then send him mine, and I'll reach out to. I'll drive to LA. It's not that far from here.
Oh my God, that'll be great. Please send pictures. Fans would love to see you two in person.
I will. I can't wait
Stay
to see
well.
him. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Good talking to you.
You're so welcome.
Bye,
Talk to you
everybody.
soon. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to Alex and Sean for spending this time. So fun to surprise him with Sean Christian. Thank you to everyone watching live and those catching up later. Remember, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe, like, and turn on the notifications so you never miss an upcoming episode. And remember, you can also listen to The Locker Room wherever you get your favorite podcasts. I will see you very soon. Thanks again for spending this time. And as always, everybody, please stay safe.